Okie dokie, we're live. We are live now, lads, for a bit of a post, fever live stream. Basically, I have not recorded my videos yet for today, and I would rather get all these out in a stream. I would rather record all my videos on a stream. We're at that time, and I need to go live because my mouth is in bits, and unless I'm live, I will never get myself to do this work. So, yeah, we've got the fever, Sophie Cunningham cooking, and new shoe throwing situation. An update to the shoe toss. So yeah, hopefully a couple of people get into the stream. We're gonna be here for a little bit over an hour, and we'll see you then. But yeah. Let's see. Do we have anyone here in the chat? Anyone here in the chat? Not that I can see. If somebody could if somebody could go and type in the chat, that'd be great. Appreciate it. Just make sure everything works. But our topics for today are, obviously, we're talking about the sneaker throw. That Stephanie White has chosen to build around Kelsey Mitchell. Caitlin Clark looking healthy. And how Justine Bissott looked in game 2. Caitlin's turnovers being completely irrelevant. And the fact that Sophie Cunningham is looking like the real deal. She's looking like the best role player in the damn league. It is one of those things where it's like, yeah. All those topics. Okay, so I have 42 of you guys in there, are in here right now, and once we get to 100, or once we get to either 10 likes or 100 viewers, we will start. But, yeah, it is a... How are you guys? We are at 44 likes. We're at 6 likes right now, 44 viewers. And we will talk about our very first topic very soon. 9 likes. One more like. One more like right here. I actually didn't watch Rocky as a kid, and I haven't at the time watched the full Rocky. I watched a recap. I watched one of those like YouTube recap videos where it was like an hour long to recap all the Rocky movies. That is how I've seen Rocky. I've seen all the Creeds though, because every time you fly to America, the Creed movies are always on the plane for some reason. So I've seen all the Creeds. But yeah, we've got to talk about Shoegate. We have got to talk about Sneakergate. And I'm going to be real. Like, I do think that Sneakergate is one of these hilarious things in the WNBA. And if you guys don't know what happened, basically, Marina Mabry is kind of just chilling, and she gets hit with a flying shoe. She gets hit with a flying sneaker, and then picks it up and tries to fight Benai Delaney Hamilton. She gets hit with a flying sneaker. So, after the game, both parties were like, oh, it was accidental. I would have never meant to have done that. But there is now officially footage of it. And there is now officially footage of this scenario. So that is the wrong thing right there. Let's go and show the full footage. So, this is what happened. Let's take a look. So, Benai Delaney Hamilton is around here. She is around here. She is on the other end of the floor. She is, like, literally on the other side of the floor. And for some reason, jumps off her team's bench. She jumps off her team's bench and does this. Sorry, I need it. The play button. Like, look at how far she launches that. It is 10 feet above Jonquel Jones's head. Like, look at how high that shit goes. She misses Jonquel Jones by so much. And then hits Breanna Mabry. The shoe goes flying 10 feet above Jonquel's head. It goes so far above her head. It's not even remotely close to hitting her. And it then clocks Breanna Mabry. But this is a full court heave. Like, she's at the baseline. She full court heaves the shoe. And then hits her. And then goes and hits Breanna Mabry. Like, at the 3-point line. I'm going to be real here. I'm going to be very real. Either Betnijah Laney Hamilton is Tom Brady. She's QB1. Like, she launched a shoe 22 meters, 23, 24 meters, and hit somebody square in the back. 24 meters. That is not easy. That's like, 26, 27 yards with a shoe. I assume people don't have practice throwing a shoe. With its dimensions, with everything, I assume people don't have practice launching shoes. That's just me. I would assume people don't have practice with launching shoes. That being said, I gotta be honest here. Like, she missed by so much. It is scary how much she missed by. I don't know. It's like, you could easily write it off as she didn't mean to do it. Because there's no way, you can see it went in the direction of Jonquel Jones. There's no way she can throw it that accurate the entire length of the floor. And she mentioned it and she was like, what was her quote? Is hilarious. Her quote is hilarious. After the game. Her quote was genuinely hilarious. She was basically like, what was it? I would never intentionally hit somebody's shoe, especially when they're not looking. She was like, you know what? If I ever tried to throw a shoe at somebody, I would make sure they were looking. Which is a hilarious quote. And then the actual Chris DeMarco goes, I think about the shoe throw. She goes, I think we're just making stuff up. You're asking the wrong person. I just know it was an atrocious game by the officials. Chris DeMarco said it didn't happen. Chris DeMarco looked at the footage and said, yeah, you're just making stuff up. She didn't throw a shoe. Like, what are we doing? I'm being very real. Running onto the floor from the bench and throwing a shoe, even if Jonquel Jones caught it, should be an ejection. You can't run onto the bench and throw a shoe. No matter what. There is no context where a bench player, if somebody on the floor wants to pick up a shoe and throw it towards their teammate, fine. If you are a bench player, you cannot jump off the bench, run on the floor, and throw a shoe. Like, I cannot believe this is a conversation that, people are now having where it's like, okay, what exactly are we doing? Oh shit, the shoe. The shoe is and people are just like, oh yeah, it's accidental, it shouldn't be an ejection. She ran onto the court and threw a shoe. Like, I'm sorry, if someone does that in the NBA, it's an ejection. If you run onto the bench in the NBA, if you run onto the bench, if there's anything going on, and you jump off the bench and run onto the floor for any reason, it's a suspension. It is a suspension for doing that. Like, it is technically, refs won't call it a technical foul to jump up, celebrate if you set foot on the floor to jump up and celebrate, it's a technical foul. Like, it is madness. It is madness that people are now starting to say, oh, the ejection was bullshit because she didn't need to throw a shoe at Breanna Mabry. She chucked the shoe 24 meters. Even if it landed in Jonquil Jones' hands, she chucked the shoe 20 meters. She chucked a shoe. Can we be very clear? Like, I don't get this. I don't get this. Like, oh, she didn't mean it. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. This is some this is some, what you call it, like, this is even some World Cup shit all over again. Oh, Balogun didn't mean it. It's not a red card. Intent doesn't change the fact whether or not throwing a shoe is an ejection. You can't chuck a shoe. I repeat, you cannot chuck a shoe. I cannot believe I had to say this. Like, this is a new angle that shows that it was a reckless and dangerous throwing of a shoe. That it wasn't just a short pass to her teammate that went astray. She yeeted the thing. She yeeted the fucking thing. And she was ejected, absolutely. The second that shoe hit, she just was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm done. I'm walking off the floor. Like, she realized that. Like, even before the referees finished anything, she was already she was already off the floor. Like, she knew what she did, intentional or unintentional. She immediately just was like, yeah, I'm gone. Screw you guys, I'm going home type shit. She knew that was it. That was her done. She knew that was her day over. It did not matter what had happened. That is her day completely over. But yeah, like, we've still got people nowadays saying the new footage means that the ejection should be rescinded. No. She launched a fucking shoe. Oh my God. I'm in a bit of shock here. I'm in a bit of shock here just based on some of people's reactions to this. I have people pretending that this is the most nothing thing ever and it's the normal thing ever, and that, like, that's what happens. People throw shoes 20 meter distance to their teammates because that's what they do. I'm just, oh my God, I fucked the thumbnail here. I fucked the thumbnail. I was confused there. Why did nobody tell me? But yeah, that's a video. That's this part of the video done anyway. Who do I have in the World Cup final? She have the outfits review, did she? I think anyone but England, to be honest. I don't care as long as England don't win. I literally couldn't care less. Anyone but England, and I'm happy. But yeah. But what am I gonna do? What is the next topic? Okay, yeah, look, I'm gonna give the topic here. Who's the Lam Yamal? I mean, Lamine Yamal would be in fucking high school if she was in the States, so I don't think it's hard to give a comparison there. But so I actually really want to talk about this topic because a lot of people are saying it and they're like, why, like, with Ty Harris, and it's like, why does, Steph White prefer Ty Harris and stuff, and why does the team seem to work better with Ty Harris? But yeah, like, I gotta be honest, the team functions better with Ty Harris on the floor. Ty Harris was plus 35 yesterday. She was plus 35. I don't think people realize Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell were like minus 8 together. They won by nearly 30. They were minus 11 until they went on against the bench. It was over. It was Jover. Like, they had it. Like, they absolutely had it. Like, it was, like, they basically beat down the bench to get their individual, you know, on-off numbers okay, but it is a scary thing for the Fever, and I've talked a little bit about it after the game. That Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark can't work together, and I'm going to show you guys why. And this is, we're going to bring in the Paint Online. We're going to bring in the Paint Online, and I'm going to explain what the difference is between now and 2024. The Fever are... I don't really think the Fever are contenders, I'm going to be honest. So we draw the line here. Here is the three... No. Here to here is the three-point line. And the halfway line is here. So let's just take a look here at the way just the Fever kind of set up. Right. The way the Fever are setting up in the way Steph White plays. So Aaliyah is always kind of operating out of around this area here. Unless she's straight in the post-up. So normally, Mo Billings is around here. Lexi is spotting up. It doesn't really matter what wing Lexi spots up because she drifts to the corner 80% of the time. That's the way the offense starts. So it's Lexi. Let's just say Lexi's here. And let's say Caitlin's here. And Kelsey's here. Aaliyah's here. So what used to happen was Kelsey, in the old system, Kelsey would be here. But what's happening now is, in a lot of the time, they're initiating offense with this. Caitlin comes off this. Kelsey goes to here. Aaliyah goes to here. And then you're kind of like... Because Kelsey, instead of being here for an attack, is kind of like here. So it's just kind of... It's kind of how they're initiating the offense a little bit. Or even in the Caitlin and Leah pick and rolls, pick and pops. If Caitlin and Leah, KK, or whoever it is runs the pick and roll, then like it is what it is, but then they can get a score off that. But the problem is with Kelsey is that Kelsey is kind of, during, say, a Caitlin and Leah pick and roll here, Kelsey's kind of just standing there now. She's just kind of standing there. Like, she's not really doing anything. She's not really part of the offense. So what ends up happening then is that whenever Kelsey touches the ball, she's like, I'm not getting the ball back. I'm going. So I'm shooting every single time I touch the ball when Caitlin Clark's on the floor. It's the reason why when Caitlin Clark plays, Kelsey Mitchell ends games with 0 assists. But when Caitlin Clark doesn't play, Kelsey Mitchell averages like 4 assists per game. Because she becomes a more willing passer when she knows she's getting the ball back. And then the problem is with Caitlin, is that Caitlin knows if she passes the ball here to Kelsey, and then whatever Aaliyah is doing, whatever, and she gets out of the way, she knows she's not getting the ball back. Unless it's off an offensive rebound. So what happens now is Caitlin's doing this a lot, by the way. More than I've ever seen. Caitlin coming off the screen, stepping back, Aaliyah's in the post, and then just going ISO, dribble, step back three. Like, more than we've ever seen, we've seen Caitlin Clark kind of going dribble, step back three. Someone's saying Fever are falling apart. They're not. The Fever are not falling apart. And the Fever are an incredibly good offensive team. Like, when you have the players they have. And the thing is, when you have a team where at all times you either have Kelsey Mitchell or Caitlin Clark running the show, you're going to be a good team for 40 minutes. You're going to be a really, really good offensive team for 40 minutes. Like, for me, that's a really, really important thing. That is a genuinely important thing from the perspective of the Indiana Fever. It is extremely important. But the key here is Ty Harris right now. Ty Harris is... You see all this bullshit where Caitlin goes and is just ISOing and shooting a step back, or Kelsey gets the ball and Kelsey's just doing whatever the fuck she does, going side to side and shooting a bullshit. If this is Ty Harris, if this is Ty, and then there's Aaliyah, and there's Kelsey, Ty is passing that ball to Kelsey Mitchell, and then getting the fuck out of there and spotting up. She becomes a spot-up player. And whatever offense they run, they'll run some pin down, or, geez, not a pin down there. Like, Kelsey might start here in the corner, and Lexi's going to play here, and Aaliyah's going to come down for a pin down for Kelsey. When Kayla's on the floor, everybody is clued in and is like, okay, we're getting Kelsey the ball. And when Kelsey's not on the floor, everybody's clued in and saying, we're getting Caitlin the ball. Like, there were a lot more minutes of Kelsey Mitchell on the floor without Caitlin Clark than Caitlin Clark without Kelsey Mitchell. But if we're being real, they looked equally as dangerous with Caitlin without Kelsey as with Kelsey without Caitlin. The problem is the Caitlin with Kelsey lineups. The problem is those lineups. And this cannot be, for me, like, this can't be, when this conversation becomes, look, see, Stephanie White wants Ty Harris her point guard. She wants to ruin Caitlin Clark's career. She's sabotaging Caitlin. When the conversation turns into that, it takes away from the actual conversation. And it's clear, and they're like, look, see, Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark like each other. Of course they do. Of course they do. Caitlin wanted Kelsey Mitchell to come back because Kelsey Mitchell's one of the best players in the league. They obviously want it to work. They obviously do. But like, Kelsey Mitchell was in 2024, early on in the year, was a efficient gunner, was a player who took away from your offense level gunner. And not only that, let's not forget, at the Olympic time, the Indiana Fever had told Kelsey Mitchell they weren't going to bring her back. Let's never forget are you excited All-Star weekends in Indy? It's going to be great for them, isn't it? It's going to be great for them. Like, she knew she wasn't coming back. And then, post-Olympic break, they changed how they played, and Kelsey Mitchell nearly got into an all-WNBA team. Someone says, stop with my BS. Caitlin Clark wanted Kelsey Mitchell to come back this year. Yeah, of course she did. Carmelo Anthony wanted Allen Iverson on his team. It didn't work. It didn't work. LeBron James wanted Russell Westbrook on his team. Like, Russell Westbrook was coming off a year where he averaged a triple-double and basically single-handedly dragged the team to the playoffs. People were saying Russell Westbrook was best point guard in the NBA in 2021. I was there, I remember, because I made content on the NBA. There's literally a video on my BBALL Daily channel saying, like, calm down. Like, we need to calm down about Russell Westbrook. No, he's not better than Steph Curry. This is like right before the Lakers signed him. It is a problem where their offense, in both scenarios, their offense does not get any better with the two of them on the floor. And it doesn't help neither of them are very good defenders. It doesn't help neither of them are very good defenders. And the problem is that on nearly every good team, there's that like one glue player that just makes the team kind of function. Like with the Miami Heat, that was kind of Mario Chalmers' role. His job at point guard was to facilitate in between LeBron and Dwayne Wade. And like, Caitlin is not big enough to be LeBron. It's a really tough one. It is a really, really tough one because you're not going to, like, there's the massive advantage if you're the Indiana Fever where at all stages for 40 minutes in the game, you have one of Caitlin Clark or Kelsey Mitchell. You have two of the best offensive engines in the league because you can't, if you want to say, oh, Kelsey Mitchell, all she does is shoot. Yes, when she is on the floor with Caitlin Clark, she is the most selfish player in the league. All she does is shoot because when she is getting touches every single possession, she'll play make, she'll do other stuff. And I gotta say this, when Caitlin Clark's on the floor with Kelsey Mitchell, all she does is chuck. That is another thing we have to point out. Caitlin Clark doesn't look to ever pass the ball when she's on the floor with Kelsey Mitchell either. Like we're watching the games, we have to say that. It is 3 All-Stars and 1 ball, and all of them who need the ball. There's no low maintenance, low usage All-Star there. There's no Kayla McBride. There's no and the problem is, again, you have Aaliyah who kind of needs the ball a little bit to do her thing. It's not like a Olivia Ma. Even if you had the system of the Lynx, where Kelsey Mitchell was playing Courtney Williams' role. Like, if Kelsey Mitchell is playing Courtney Williams' role, where she's clearly a secondary option, it's one thing. But right now, the primary option seems to be Kelsey Mitchell, and because Caitlin Clark is the secondary option and she takes the ball up, she realizes, I'm not getting it back. I'm not getting it back if I give it up. So she's out here doing dumb shit. It's not a situation that's going to work out for the team. Why? Because the team is better when Kelsey Mitchell's on the bench. The team is better when Caitlin Clark is on the bench and Kelsey Mitchell's on the floor. The team is at its worst with Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell on the floor. That is scary. That is scary for me. And it's got to be something. It's not something it's going to affect it too much this year. But like, the team plays better with Ty Harris on the floor. They just do. They just do. I hate saying it. Like, someone's saying Caitlin's a true point guard. No, Caitlin's a modern point guard. What they need is an old school point guard, which Ty Harris is. Ty Harris is a traditional old school Mario Chalmers point guard. Caitlin Clark is a modern point guard, needs a lot of the ball. Ty Harris doesn't need the ball at all. And all that happens is that Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell are fighting for the same opportunities on the ball, because Kelsey Mitchell is an exclusively on-ball player right now. This is not 2024 Kelsey Mitchell, where she was mostly an off-ball player. Kelsey Mitchell is nearly exclusively an on-ball player right now. So, like, we're looking now at a situation where they're both fighting for the same. They're both fighting to touch the ball in the same way. And that is an issue. Like, that genuinely is an issue. And the solution is that Ty Harris has basically got to... She's never going to start the games, but, like, it's at the stage now where Caitlin's minutes being at 29, at 24 yesterday. Like, I don't think her minutes are going to be any higher than that. Where whichever of Caitlin Clark or Kelsey Mitchell is going off in a game plays 32 minutes, and whichever one of them isn't plays 25 minutes, and Ty Harris plays 22 or 23 minutes. That is probably the outcome. Because the outcome, by the way, is not saying, oh, Caitlin Clark needs to, come into a bench role. At this point in time, Kelsey Mitchell's shooting better. Kelsey Mitchell is the player that's in better form right now. But I think it's on a game-to-game basis, whichever one of them is cooking. It shouldn't be like what they were doing earlier in the year, where if Caitlin starts off on fire, then it's like, oh, Caitlin, it's your job now to get Kelsey Mitchell going. And then suddenly Caitlin Clark loses her rhythm and the team goes to shit. I think it should be a case of whichever of Kelsey Mitchell or Caitlin Clark are going, are the one to get it going. The other needs to take a back seat and become the other's backup. Because at the end of the day, Caitlin Clark at this point in time and yesterday was Kelsey Mitchell's backup. She worked at her best when she was Kelsey's backup. And by the way, if Caitlin Clark comes out and cooks on Wednesday against the Valks and Kelsey Mitchell's cold, it should be the opposite. Kelsey Mitchell should be Caitlin's backup. But both of them need to play more minutes with Ty Harris, with Raven Johnson, with Sophie and Lexi combo than they do need to play with each other. And Stephanie White needs to figure out a way to make this team work, because they can't play together. Having both of them on for 40 minutes can be an absolute incredible thing for the Fever. It can be incredible, and you can win like that. But she needs to figure out a way of minimizing their minutes together without wrecking either of their egos. Because I don't know if she can. And it's easier said than done. If it was an easy job, like if doing that was an easy job, there'd be a lot more high-level coaches. I stand by that. Like, Fever lost confidence in CC's game. They've lost confidence in it. Not they've lost confidence in CC's game. They just liked the way they were playing. They liked the way they were playing. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, let's be very clear. There's nothing wrong with a team saying we got to the playoffs like this, we're doing this and this and this, we've had success like this, we want to keep playing like this. That's not a, whether it be the coach or the players, like there's nothing wrong with that. But Sophie Cunningham has very quickly gone back to being probably, like, she's on a really, really good contract. She's on a really good contract. And the Indiana Fever done goofed by choosing Lexi Hull over her. They really, really did. And if I was, if I'm Sophie, she's right to be pissed. Sophie Cunningham is right to be apt to be so pissed off at this stage because she just came out with 20 points yesterday. Now, she had 20 points in a game where these were not easy shots. She was shooting from 30. Someone said they win by 34, how they can't play together. Yeah, so Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark were, up until they played against the garbage time, were minus 11 together. Like, isn't that a hilarious one? They were up by 30. And in the minutes where Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell did not play together, they were 41 points. They were plus 41 without the two of them on the floor. Which is crazy, which is why Ty Harris and Sophie Cunningham was plus 30 something. And Ty Harris was plus 35. But Sophie Cunningham is one of the best shooters in the league. And everybody wants to shit on Sophie because of, for whatever reason, that they think she's the damn Anna Kournikova of the league, which she probably is. She's probably not quote unquote good enough for the amount of hype that she's gotten, but let's be very clear, like, LaMelo Ball is a bigger name than Nikola Jokic. He's not good enough either to have gotten that hype. And also, lads, on the Eld merch site, which will be in the description, we have our Sophie Cunningham point t-shirt. Again, $12.50. I'm not profiting on these. I'm literally putting them up for cost. And we've got the SC Point logo. So if you guys are interested, it's in the description. If you're not, it's fine. I just did this for the lols. All of these... all the stuff on the merch site I don't profit on. I just get bored and I'm like, oh, this would be kind of cool. And if somebody wants them, they want them. But yeah, look, Sophie Cunningham has been a elite shooter for her entire career. And this is the best she's ever been. Like, Sophie Cunningham's averaging 10 points a game. She's shooting 50. She is 0.7%, and she's shooting 89% from the line. So she is 1% from the free throw line and 0.7% from the field away from shooting 50, 40, 90. Lads, only two living human beings have had 50, 40, 90 in the WNBA. That is Elena Deladon and Fee. She is this close to being the third person to ever shoot 50, 40, 90. And again, there's been years where she averaged more points per game. There has not been years where, like, she's chucked up, where she's doing it in this efficiency. Like, it is her career field goal percentage is 43. Yes, in 2022, she had a year where she averaged 13 points per game on 45, 40, 87.5. And Sophie is regularly cooking. Yes, she had 2 iffy shooting games in a row before this. But let's take a look at her game logs. Like, Sophie Cunningham, as a bench player, had a run of 17, 2, 11, 11, 15, 8, 2, 8, 11, 24, 12, 13. Like, this is a bench player. Janelle Salon is the only bench player that is probably going to win 6th player of the year. And everyone thought it was a guarantee Kendi Carter was going to win. I think it's probably a guarantee or near a guarantee that Janelle Salon's going to win. Because, again, the Valks are incredible. She's in 22 minutes per game. She's doing it on 40, 40, 80. And letting it fly. But, like, Janelle Salon is clearly going to be the 6th player of the year. Like, it's not really up for debate because, again, Salon has been exceptional. She has been exceptional. But Sophie has been everything anyone could ask for at half a max. Like, obviously, there are better value contracts. But for UFAs, like, I don't know how many better UFAs there have been since, like, other than Sophie. In terms of, like, their pure value. Nia Coffey, sure. But it's like, everyone wants to talk about Sophie Cunningham. And they're like, oh, yeah, so they see Sophie's face everywhere. And they're like, Sophie sucks. She's not good enough. She doesn't deserve any of these opportunities. First of all, she's a big enough name. She plays for the Fever. It helps. And she's the one player on the Indiana Fever that has gone out of her way to take advantage of the stardom that comes from playing for the Indiana Fever. Her and Lexi, to be fair, they've been the two players that have gone out of their way to take advantage of it. And even like someone like a Dejanay has used being the villain for the Indiana Fever to her advantage, and to a lesser extent Angel. But like, I'm looking at teams in the WNBA. How many teams does Sophie Cunningham start for? She doesn't start for the Lynx. Okay. She starts for the Aces over Steph Talbot. Her and Chachi are probably the same player for the Valks. She's definitely, I think she should start for the Wings. She wouldn't start for the Wings, but she should start for the Wings over Arike. Like, if you had Paige, Azzi, and Sophie, that's better than Paige, Azzi, and Arike. She should start for the Fever. She would absolutely not start for the Atlanta Dream. For the New York Liberty, she would... No, Phoebish. She would start for the Mystics. She'd start for the Sparks. She'd start for the Fire. She'd start for the Tempo. She would start for the Mercury. She would start for the Sky. She actually might not start for the Sky. She would definitely start for the Storm. Definitely start for the Sun. She would start for nearly every team. She is playing ball at like the 45th best player in the league. She's playing at like the rate of the 45th best player in the league. And they're not paying her like she's the 45th best player in the league. Especially as a UFA. And the fact that the Indiana Fever chose Lexi over her is wild. Like, I don't get it. I really don't get it. Like, Lexi only started because Sophie got injured. Like, Sophie getting injured is the only reason Lexi started. Did Lexi Hull get paid? And Lexi Hull is getting paid $250,000 more than Sophie. And Sophie wanted a long-term deal. They didn't give her a long-term deal. I get it. Lexi's younger. I get that. But when you're giving players 1-2 year deals as unrestricted free agents, youth means nothing. Like, age means nothing when you're giving short 1 to 2 year contracts on unrestricted free agents. Like, it is completely irrelevant. And it's at the stage now where, like, as much as Sophie, I'm not saying is like the greatest player in the world, she's absolutely underpaid. She has been underpaid by this team. And if you guys don't know, coming into after 2024 season, Sophie Cunningham was a UFA. She was an unrestricted free agent. And Sophie Cunningham took a team-friendly deal. She was getting paid $150K a year. And for the Phoenix Mercury, she was doing a whole bunch of work with them. She was making good, decent money off the floor. Sophie Cunningham decided to take a 50% pay cut despite coming in and starting nearly all the year and having a better season than she had in 2023. She took a 33% pay cut from 150K to 150K, despite the fact the salary cap went up. She took a massive pay cut, and they went and rewarded her by trading her. But yeah, look, she's someone that's shown that she will take team-friendly deals, but like, I don't think she's taken a team-friendly enough deal to stay in the Fever, especially because the odds of Caitlin Clark staying is sub 50% next year. It is sub 50%. It would make no sense for Caitlin Clark to stay. All right. Popularity to make money quintupled. Look, I'm being honest. Sophie Cunningham. I think she's okay. I think she is okay. She's going to be okay financially. Like, I think she'll be fine. I don't think if I'm Sophie Cunningham, I'm like too worried like about the old money part of it. I think she's going to be fine. I think she's absolutely going to be fine money wise. Jamie, 1 second. Okay, it's not ideal. I apologize. Give me 1 second, then I'll talk about another topic. That's fine. That's good. Yeah, cool. Sophie and Caitlin going to LA. The Sparks is the worst place for Caitlin. The Sparks are incompetent. They are incompetent. Like, they are incompetent. They're absolutely incompetent. They are the worst. Like, no, Sky are the worst. They're the second Sky. They're the Sky of the West. But yeah, I need to just check one thing right here. Before we get going. Apologies. I'm kind of trying to find something for a topic. But yeah, Alexi's not very good. She tries. She tries really hard. She tries really, really hard. So, like, I mean, when it comes down to it, it is what it is. But we're talking here. We got to talk here about Justine Passat. So we got to talk a little bit about Justine Passat. And you got those dumbasses who said that the Fever would not miss Justine Passat victory lapping, despite the fact that she showed more promise in yesterday's game than Dantas has shown in years. Like, I thought she was all right yesterday. I thought she was on with weird lineups. I didn't think she was great. I think she was not terrible. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Justine Passat show yesterday. She got on the first quarter. That is big. That is genuinely big. And Justine Passat, as a member of this current Indiana Fever team today, like, Justine Passat is not going to affect whether the Indiana Fever win a championship this year or next year. Or say not even this year or next year, this year. She's not. But by the end of her 4-year rookie deal, I'm really scared at how good Justine Passat is going to be. I'm really, really scared. And a big reason for that is there were still flashes yesterday. The shot she made, a tough shot. She has the balls to take contested threes. And at one stage, she's on Lexi. And I'm not joking. She kind of jab steps Lexi, drives in right, kind of crosses over to her left, and almost like a KD pull up on a drive. And I'm like, it went in and out. And I'm just like, shit. Okay. If this all comes together, she got a clean block on KK Timpson that was called a foul. She swatted the shit out of Sophie Cunningham and stared her down. I am incredibly confident that she is going to be a key rotation piece for the Las Vegas Aces for the next 4 years. Do I think she's going to be an all-star? No. But, like, her floor, and I mean this, her floor is 6'4" Sophie Cunningham. And she looked bad yesterday as a pick and roll hedge defender. Like, she looked really bad as a pick and roll hedge defender yesterday. She kind of got cooked in the pick and roll. Every single rookie gets cooked in the pick and roll. Why do they get cooked in the pick and roll? Unless you are playing against TCU 17 times a year, teams don't run the pick and roll like they run the pick and roll in the WNBA. Every single player comes in from college to the pros playing the pick and roll in drop coverage. Every single player does. And Justine Bassett looked good in drop coverage as she swatted KK Timpson, which was called a foul, but it was clean. And she swatted Sophie Cunningham. She looked good in drop coverage. She looked bad in trying to hedge. She did a really bad job of that. But they all do. Everyone does. Everyone does. And I thought her help defense was all right. I thought she maybe overcommitted a little bit to help, but when you have Angel Wilson on your team, you can overcommit to help. And like, I'm going to read out one of the most dumb tweets I've ever read by somebody. And again, these are the dumbass like front office apologists. Bassett comes over to help on Caitlin, and Cece instantly finds KK, who's left wide open thanks to Bassett leaving her. AJ, however, is there to clean it up and deny KK the rim. One of the advantages of having AJ is clean up bad mistakes by other defenders. So Caitlin has a wide open layup on a drive. Bassett helps on Caitlin and over helps because she wants to stop Caitlin. Caitlin dumps it down to KK. That's how help works. And AJ Wilson helps the helper and the team rotates. In no scenario, if a guard gets burned on the perimeter and a big comes in to help said guard, is it the fault of the big if their player scores? Like, that was good help. And she's just so long. She's just so fucking long. She ran a couple of times. She did a really good job of getting the ball high and kind of running handoffs. Like, it is. She's going to be a player. And again, she was a second round pick for a reason. She is a project. She's not going to score 19 points in a quarter. She's not going to score 19 points in a game. She might not score 19 points in a game as a rookie. She might not score 19 points, but what she's going to be is she's already better than Kirsten Bell. I cannot stress that enough. She's already better than Kirsten Bell. She is having to adapt on the spot. You're seeing it in the WNBA. She was a guard in college. She played the 2/3. She was a guard. She's being used as a handoff player, a stretch 4. And the thing is that she's still able to handle a little bit for a 4. Like, she is now, because she's not a real post-up player, they're trying to use her almost like a unicorn. And again, with her shot blocking that she's shown, she's got quick enough hands. Her positioning is iffy. Her ability to guard the pick and roll is bad. But every rookie's bad. Medina O'Cock can't guard the pick and roll. Lauren Betts can't guard the pick and roll. None of them can. Nobody can because teams in college don't spam the pick and roll. They don't plan on doing it. Every single team plays drop coverage on the pick and roll. And she looked all right in drop coverage. This is not a player that's going to, completely take over the Aces, for the Aces. But, there's a world where, they don't have to consider bringing back Stephanie Talbot next year because Justine Bassett next year is going to be better than Steph Talbot. They don't have to worry that. They can leave Steph Talbot to teams that sign wash vets like the Fever. Did I miss or see the look AB gave Smith after a review for the elbow? Look at AB gave Smith. I don't know. It's competitive fire. I don't think there's anything there. Thank you so much for the $10, Michelle. I really appreciate that. Thank you. But it's so funny people victory lapping one game to the next. Anyone who saw the way Justine Bassett is, she is a project. She was a project when she came into the league. She's still a project. And the fact is that she showed that she can, again, that she has the ability to score 19 points like that, already shows the Fever are idiots. Because, let's be real, I'm just going to show a rookie, a raw rookie, who is, again, going to get better and better and better, and it's Awa. So Awa, in a redraft, Awa goes top 2. And if you were using Passat logic, Awafam has scored 7, 4, and 5 in her last 3 games on bad shooting. Therefore, she sucks. She was the best 3-point shooter in the rookie class until 3 games ago and is 2 for 13, 18 since then. Therefore, she sucks. And that's the problem with most WNBA fans is they're not actually basketball people. They just get it. Not even all WNBA fans, like some of the, quote unquote, I'll always call them the front office apologists. People refer to them as Slurp FC, and if you want to use that name, I haven't. But we got to be real here. When we evaluate young players, we evaluate what they're going to be. We evaluate the value of their contract, what they're going to be relative to the value of their contract. And I'm being very clear. I don't see any world in which Justine Passat is not a starting level player while still on her minimum rookie contract. I don't see that world. Am I crazy for saying that? Like, she is having to learn a brand new position on both offense and defense. She is trying to navigate going from being a guard her entire life to a power forward and maybe even playing as a stretch 5 at different stages. She's having to navigate a brand new team and navigate a brand new way of guarding the pick and roll, which they never guarded in college because teams don't have those guards that can abuse you. Teams don't have Caitlin Clark in college. Like, even yesterday there were flashes. Like, if Awafam did what Passat did yesterday, you're like, oh shit, she blocked a shot. All of this stuff. But because people are hyper fixated on Justine Passat in both ways of trying to prove the front office wrong in one way, and by the way, whether or not Justine Passat has already proven the front office to be idiots. All Justine Passat had to do was show flashes of potential, and they were idiots for keeping Dantas over. Justine Passat scored 0 points the rest of the year, and they were still idiots for keeping Dantas. How is Vance Luton? Vance Luton showed flashes too. I think Vance Luton was more of a we don't want to look bad keeping somebody that we signed and cut Walker Kimbrough for. Oh, if we cut her, it makes us look bad to vets. If we cut Vance Luton, it makes us look bad to vets. That's the only logic for me. But yeah, look, I'm not that I was impressed with yesterday's game because she didn't play well. She didn't play well, but like, she is in the rotation for the Las Vegas Aces. Game 2. The Indiana Fever deemed her not worthy of a spot on the roster. She is in the rotation for the best team in the league, record-wise. Game 2. She broke into rotation. Like, it doesn't matter how good or bad she is. She probably is not going to be a difference between the Fever winning a title this year or next year. But you know what she could be? Next year or the year after next, when they can't afford or next year when they can't afford Sophie Cunningham because they just can't, and they have that dumbass Lexi Hull contract. When Lexi Hull's just not playing well enough and you need Sophie to come off the bench to play big minutes and actually play that position. That's literally what Passat was. That's what Passat should have been. She should have been the direct replacement for Sophie Cunningham off the bench next year. And then, depending on how her or Lexi are playing, then she comes in, either takes Lexi's starting spot or has 2 more years as a bench. She is going to be, she's going to be a starting level player by the end of her rookie contract while being on a minimum. I don't really care that she went 1 of 5 from the field yesterday and was getting cooked in the pick and roll by Caitlin Clark. I'm sorry. Caitlin Clark has cooked. Let's list the players Caitlin Clark has cooked in the pick and roll in her career. Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, Brittany Griner, Tiara McCowan, Kalani Brown. I was trying to go off the top of my head. She's cooked E-Will in the pick and roll as well, who's a really good defender. She has absolutely torched. I think who she torched. She's fucking torched Kiki or Fen in the pick and roll. Like, Caitlin Clark has torched 80% of bigs in the league in the pick and roll. But yet, apparently because Caitlin Clark torched a rookie in her second ever game, and therefore it means that rookie's terrible. Because people are dumb at. Like, there is no justification. There is no justification, I mean that, for the Fever getting off Justine Passat. And it's a decision that, yes, it immediately backfired. But if you're trying to victory lap Justine Passat in her first game in the rotate, like in her, realistically, her first ever meaningful WNBA game, where she's playing a position she never played in her life before. And the fact, again, let's be clear, she is in the rotation for a team. I know the Fever beat the Aces, for a team that the Fever match up really well to Vegas, and the Fever probably will beat them in the playoffs, but that are better than you in general. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that early victory lap. That's all I'm going to say. Caitlin Clark Caitlin's cooked Angel Wilson in the pick and roll. She absolutely has. She absolutely has. She has cooked literally every big in the league in the pick and roll. Cooking Justine Passat does not mean Justine Passat sucks. The fact that the fact that Becky Hammond put her into rotation over Cheyenne Parker-Tyus, who's an all-star and former champion, is enough to show that the Fever were dumbasses. Like, it's enough. Yes, like, Becky Hammond does not trust rookies. And she's immediately like... And the thing is, Becky Hammond's going to let Passat make mistakes because she knows we're in salary cap hell. We need Passat to be good on this minimum contract. We need her to be good on a minimum. For the next 4 years, we need her to be good. And there's a reason why they're not getting off Janiyah Barker. Because they're like, okay, if Passat, Latson, and Barker are good, okay, then we're cool. We're good. So, what are my last topics? There's one more topic. What are the topics you want me to talk about? Passat not needed this year, championship or bust this year. What the fuck? Like, the Fever aren't winning the title this year. They're not winning the title this year. Like, the only way the Fever have a chance of winning the title is if round one, they face the Aces and take them off in a best of three. Because I think they can do that. Round two, some bullshit like Washington beats... I'm trying to think what teams the Fever don't match up well to. Washington beats fucking Atlanta or something. Or Washington beats Dallas. And the Fever beat Washington in 5. And then the finals on the other side is the New York Liberty. Or not even New York Liberty. The Fever aren't beating the Liberty. And the finals the other side is... Who the fuck is the Vox? The Vox. And the Fever match, it's all offense versus all defense. And it's a styles make fights. And it's like, can the Fever's terrible defense be better than the Vox terrible offense? Like, unless they get the perfect draw. Like, the Fever match up against the fucking... Or even if it's the Aces, the Fever... If the Fever go and match up against their dream round one, they lose. Like, it is what it is. If they match up against the Dream, they lose. If they match up against New York, they lose. If they match up against Dallas, they lose. If they match up against the Wings, they lose. So, like, there's about 5 people that they'll lose in the 5 teams they'll lose in the first round to during the playoffs. Yes, being a low seed will help the Indiana Fever in the playoffs. Because their job has to be to knock off a team like the Aces in round 1. Because they're only going to beat them in a best of 3. Like, you got to knock off a team like that in round 1. And the Fever also aren't really built for the playoffs. Dallas defense sucks, though. Their defense has been pretty decent when Awak's on the floor. Awak Coulier has been the big kind of difference maker. I mean, like, look, in the first half, it was somewhat a ball game, and the Indiana Fever had 4 of their starters in, and the Aces had Passat, Bree Turner as their 4-5. They went through extended spells with Passat and Bree Turner as their 4-5. The Fever killed them. I'm not taking that much. The Aces regularly lose by 30. They have this weird thing where if the Aces lose, they tend to lose real bad. The league, an ideal scenario for the league is Dallas versus Indiana finals. Like, if it is Paige versus Kate, because that is the real rivalry, by the way. And the reason why Paige versus Caitlin is the rivalry is they play nothing alike. They kind of play the same position. They play nothing alike. Paige is an isolation shot creator. Caitlin Clark is a head down, I'm playing relentless pace. Paige is like, I'm going to dissect everything. I'm playing slow. You might be faster than me. You're not more skilled than me. Caitlin Clark's mentality is, I don't give a shit who you are. You're not keeping up with me. Like, that is the real rivalry because it's close. It's how good are Temple to get healthy? The 8th seed. Like, I don't know what else you want me to say there. They're the 8th seed. Okay. Is there any... Can someone please give me a topic to talk about here? Ideally, somewhat Fever related. Playing Lynx early. Yeah, the Lynx might lose to somebody else. Like, the Mercury are done. Like, what's happened to Sarah Ashley Barker? Like, is she getting traded? She's been out for personal reasons the last 2 games. The Mercury are gonzo. Besides block and stare at Sophie. Yeah. You know what? This is a topic that I do really want to talk about. I do want to talk about, and I'm like, people are genuinely dumb. So, before the game yesterday, Sophie Cunningham, oh yeah, you know, we're so happy that Justine's on like a team that wants her, a team that like that will embrace her. And then like the night before their game, as far as I'm aware, this right here is after Passat. Am I right in saying someone sent this and was like, sent me this and said this was after Passat was already a member of the Aces. She had dinner with the team. Or this was like her final dinner with the team before she left. Like, either way, doesn't really matter. But like, Passat even checking on, she kind of like nudged Kelsey Mitchell and they kind of chatted out before she subbed back in. Like, there's no bad blood between her and the team. However, Justine Passat swats the shit out of Sophie Cunningham and stares her down. Sophie's like, really? Like, that is pure basketball. Like, Sophie would have done the same thing in the opposite scenario. Sophie would have done the same thing. And it's like, there are reasons the Fever to make an offer. You don't know what goes on inside the locker room. Like, Sophie Cunningham was like being like, we're so proud of her. We're so happy for her. Like, I don't think people understand. Like, this is the thing I hate about the WNBA. Why can nothing just be basketball? Why can nothing just be basketball? This is the most obvious just basketball shit ever. So this is what's come to just the cadence between plays. Another social media victim ripped WNBA. Sophie had nothing but nice to say about her. That being said, she just blocked her shot. Might have been a gotcha look. Like, type of post you get when you've never played sport in their lives talking about sport. I agree. And it's like, this narrative is nothing. It's like, it's funny when they get bounced in the playoffs, like going at Sophie Cunningham. This is the enforcer, by the way. Justine post the drafts will have your back. Like, as in she hates Sophie Cunningham. Like, it's sports. It is sports. And it's like, type of post, yeah. People have never played sport in their life talk about sports. Oh, I don't like Sophie. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I've played against some of my best friends and shit talked them nonstop. I'm not saying they're best friends or anything, but let's be very clear. Like, I've gotten my shit swatted in pickup and been stared down by some of my friends in pickup. Like, this is sports. And this is the thing I hate about the WNBA, is that regular sport things happen and it becomes non-sport conversation. I'm sorry. Why the fuck is Congress getting involved in this shit? Like, it is sports. It is sports. Like, people are not going to like each other. People are going to go for each other. People are going to be overly physical. It is sports. It is sports. This shit happens. Like, she is currently a member of the Vegas Aces. Sophie Cunningham is a member of the Indiana Fever. She wants to destroy the Fever. For those 40 minutes, Sophie Cunningham could literally have become her best friend for the Fever. She wants to kill her in those minutes. For those 40 minutes, she wants to kill her. Like, you want to see that. Everybody is clear. Like, you want to see that. You want to see players that are going to be competitive no matter what. You don't want to see, it's this weird thing where it's like, some of the new fans came in, they're like, oh yeah, this is a grown women's league, they're competitive. And then all of a sudden, a player gets competitive with another player, it's like, you see they hate them as a person. They hate them as a person. You see they hate each other. And it's like, even with Breanna Mabry obviously doesn't hate Caitlin Clark, but she's hacked the shit out of her multiple times. Like, let's be real. Kennedy Carter got bigged up into we're going for Caitlin, we're doing this, and it's Kennedy Carter. She'll take everything to the extreme. I don't even think Angel Reese as a human hates Caitlin Clark. I think Alyssa Thomas does. And that would be my assumption. Of WNBA players that resent Caitlin Clark as a human, I think Alyssa Thomas is top of that list. I think there are players on certain teams that do. Like, I think Ryan Howard shit talks Caitlin Clark. They're friends. Like, Ryan Howard and Caitlin Clark. Remember the whole, like, I'm not scared of you thing, and everyone's like, oh, Ryan Howard hates Caitlin Clark. They're literally friends. Like, you can see it when they were on Team USA together as a kid. You can see it on Team USA. The people that, like, she'll spend time around. Like, they are friends since they were teenagers. They're not the best of friends or anything. They're not, like, unbelievably close. But, like, they're friendly with each other. It's going to be the exact same shit with Caitlin and Paige. You can see it when they play Team USA. They're good. They were teammates growing up. They're not best of friends. It's not like when they play against each other, they don't shit talk each other. They don't hate each other. It's sports. It's sports. Like, I'm going to be honest. It's fucking sports. And we got to just shut up about these things. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, Justine Bassett out here staring down Sophie doesn't mean that she hates Sophie as a person, you know. Oh, she needs to, you know, release the S-files, the, you know, Sophie Cunningham files of release all the drafts of what Sophie Cunningham did to you, the big bad Sophie did to you. No. I think Justine Bassett, if the Indiana Fever if they were willing to match her offer, she would have been happy to stay in Indiana. I think she would have been happy to stay in Indiana. The difference is that she's got a dumbass coach who doesn't think rookies are good enough. Purely based on the fact they're not vets. Like, she's not a developing coach. She's not a development coach. Olivia Miles pisses Paige off. Yeah, exactly. Olivia Miles and Paige have gone into it all the time. I'm not going to say that they dislike each other as people. I don't think they have any relationship at all with each other. The only time they've ever really come up against each other was when the two of them played against each other in all those Notre Dame and UConn games where there was a bit of a rivalry. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, this is just basketball. We've got to separate what's basketball and what isn't. We've got to separate what is basketball and what isn't. Because, like, come on now. Some of this shit is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm going to talk about the Caitlin Clark flop right now. I'm talking about the Caitlin Clark flop. And she's really bad at flopping. I think that for me is the worst part about it all. Is that she is really bad at flopping. Like, I'm going to show this right here. So, basically, the Caitlin Clark flop. Oh, we got to talk about it. So, for context, about 3 or 4 possessions earlier, Jackie Young backed Caitlin down from the 3-point line, and it was bang, bang, bang. Third time going, Caitlin has wrapped her up. The problem in that scenario is Jackie Young clearly offensively fouled Caitlin. But because Caitlin didn't fall over, the refs aren't going to ever call that. It's the WNBA. The refs are never going to call a charge if you stand up. If you stand up straight. So what happens here is Chelsea Gray kind of bangs her, steps through. Caitlin does a good job. And instead, like, Chelsea Gray kind of just nudges into her. And a normal basketball move, kind of nudges an elbow at her, fakes her up. Caitlin does nothing. Caitlin has her hand straight up. She doesn't hit Chelsea Gray there. There's no contact here. Her arms come down. You can see here, there is zero contact. And that's what it is. And then Caitlin goes down. If we're being real, that here. She just got the wind knocked out of her. She got the wind knocked out of her. And if you're wondering why Caitlin Clark fell, like, first of all, Caitlin flopped. Caitlin did not need to hit the deck like she had been shot. Caitlin clearly exaggerated the contact. Do you want to know why Caitlin Clark did that? Caitlin Clark wanted Stephanie White to challenge the foul call. Everyone was like, oh, Caitlin Clark was losing it when it wasn't upgraded as a hostile act. At no stage, you can very, very clearly hear Caitlin Clark keep saying, how did you call that as a foul? How is that a foul? And I've reffed, low level of, I've reffed like really low level of pro games in preseason and stuff. Still, I've reffed quote unquote pro games. And in that, it is one of the most infuriating things for coaches if you call that, where it's like, in most scenarios, if you put your hands up in the air and somebody hits you in the belly, and because of that, your body naturally, if you get hit here, it's impossible to stay straight if your body gets knocked back after a hit. And if a foul call is called on that, even if it's not enough a hit, you can't really call that as a defensive foul. Because then it gets into the territory of, it's not like Caitlin's vertical, but she becomes not vertical because of contact from Chelsea Gray. And it's like, who initiated the contact? It was Chelsea Gray, therefore it's an offensive foul, but it's not enough for it to be an offensive foul. What Caitlin was trying was to get Stephanie White to challenge the call and for it to be turned into an offensive foul, which, by the way, I think if Stephanie challenges the call, I think that could have been the outcome. Because when you look at you have to go letter of the law. You have to go letter of the law once you go to the monitor. I think it gets overturned to an offensive foul if the call is challenged. And Caitlin comes back on the floor. The referees, by the way, Caitlin sees the referees doing this. The referees did the finger turn. And we can hear referees reviewing for a hostile act. Caitlin Clark sees this and thinks Stephanie White has challenged because she's been rolling along the ground for 10 seconds. And by the way, she's rolling along the ground so that Stephanie White challenges. Let's be real. At no stage did Caitlin Clark... Someone said, stop lying, Caitlin hit her elbow. I'm just going to block this dumbass. And he's not actually wrong. This guy's just an idiot. He's been in my chat the whole time. But yes, Caitlin hits her elbow. Look, watch what happens here. Again, Caitlin, hands up, hands up, hands up. Contact is what brings her arms down. Contact brings the arms down. She's straight up, and then there's the contact, then the arms come down. It's a really weird, slippery slope. And first, it's a no. Just call a no call. Just don't blow your whistle. Don't blow your whistle. It's not an offensive foul. It's not the defensive foul was caused by the offensive player's contact. Just don't blow your whistle. She's trying to get... Caitlin Clark has to roll along the ground because she thinks maybe Stephanie White will challenge the call then. Stephanie White has not challenged the call for Caitlin Clark in 2 years. Stephanie White has challenged an obvious moving screen for KK Timpson before she'll give Caitlin Clark the benefit of the doubt for Caitlin not to pick up her second foul or her third foul in the first half. This is Caitlin's third foul in the first half. So she would rather call a meaningless, inconsequential challenge on KK Timpson than potentially get Caitlin Clark not having her third foul. And it's just, at this stage, you can see what actually frustrates Caitlin Clark. You can see what frustrates Caitlin Clark. And it is her coach refusing to challenge ever for her. That is, of all the things, I don't think that the Kelsey Mitchell ball hog, I don't think that I don't even know if the becoming the fourth option on the Indiana Fever in the starting five is affecting her as much as we think. I don't think it is. I think the one thing that really pisses her off from Stephanie White is her refuse to challenge calls. Because Caitlin's not very good at hiding her displeasure. She's not very good at that. And you can see the most pissed off she looks is when she's when she thinks she hasn't had a foul called and nothing's ever called. And it's not like Steph White waits till the end of the game for these challenges. She just doesn't. She'll just wait until, she'll genuinely just randomly wait until a random role player on the team picks up a foul at a completely inconsequential time for the game, and then she'll challenge that. It just doesn't feel like the way Steph challenges is in any way is just horrendous. But at the end of the day, this is a player who was, up to this point in her season and her career, unless she rolls around the floor, nothing will ever be called. Caitlin Clark has not had a landing zone foul called for her, if I'm not mistaken, since game 4 of last year. I think Caitlin Clark has been fouled on something like 6 or 7 3-pointers this year. Somehow none of them. How can none of them be landing zone fouls when nearly all of them are on her feet? Everyone who wants to complain about Caitlin flopping, Caitlin literally is getting hacked. And anytime she tries to stand up, she gets screwed. Because if you saw again, this one is not that egregious here. Everyone's saying, oh, this is an offensive foul. Yeah, this happens in basketball. This is a bump. It happens. Everyone does it. Letter of the law, it's an offensive foul. You don't want that to be called offensive. But the Jackie Young one was an obvious offensive foul. And because she tried to play honest defense instead of flopping to the ground, it was given as a normal foul. Or was given as nothing. And the worst part about it all is that Caitlin Clark's terrible at flopping. If Caitlin Clark was better at flopping, this would be okay. Jordan Canada, Letitia Meher, on multiple occasions, has jumped on the ground when nobody has touched her, and she's able to fool the referees. On multiple occasions, they've hacked the shit out of Caitlin Clark, but she goes down in such a weird way they don't believe she's been fouled. She just needs to get better at flopping. Like, Caitlin Clark needs to get into the gym. This needs to actually be a thing in the offseason. Get like a crash mat and just have Caitlin Clark learning how to take charges. Like, Caitlin Clark needs to learn how to take these charges, take these hits. Like, get her on a crash mat practicing. And I mean that. If any trainer for the Indiana Fever, if she's still a member of the Fever next year, does not have multiple days where Caitlin's job is, there's a crash mat there. If someone has a tackle bag and a crash mat, and her job is to, fall onto the crash mat in a certain way when there's contact, and to be able to stay in control while falling on the crash mat. Like, let's be real. Have you not watched Paige Bueckers? A player could be standing completely vertical, and Paige Bueckers could run right into them, and she will run into them, fall over, and chuck the ball up as she's falling over, and half the time it goes in. And it's a foul every single time. Caitlin's just really bad at it. Caitlin needs acting classes. She needs flopping classes. Because let's be real, she is the worst. She's so bad at selling fouls that she gets fucked over by the referees most of the time. And again, every single time Caitlin Clark kind of gets hit, it's, let's throw the head back. There's definitely a way that she can do it that doesn't make it look so deliberate that the referees are like, even when she's getting hacked, it's nothing. Caitlin's back problems. Yeah, go to the crash mat. Go to the crash mat. If she can't, jump on a crash mat with her back, she probably shouldn't be playing basketball. Yeah, the Fever can't afford Alana Smith's contract. Alana Smith's on a max for 3 years. The Fever are not idiot. You said KK 2027 first round pick and 2028 second round pick. You do realize if the Fever were to take the going rate for Alana Smith is a third round pick for Alana Smith, a first round and a second round, right? That's probably the going rate for Alana Smith. Is you get a first and a second round pick, but you just give up a third round pick, or the rights to an overseas player is never coming over. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to end stream right there.